Hey, hi, this is Jerome. We're
And
going live,
Ginger.
and Ginger. We're going live on our Facebook page for the first time. And this is Jim.
Whoa.
Hi, yeah.
We're live right now.
Are we? It just went blank. Well, let me grab my phone and find out if this is still going live. And we're sitting here just like, what? I can't tell. I can't tell if it's live or not.
I don't know.
I don't either. I'm checking our. It says live just now. Go ahead and hit play on this. Sorry. Give us just a minute, folks, because our computer just went black. Yeah, we're live.
All right.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Sorry, this is the first time we've gone Facebook Live. You need a new laptop, homie.
Why?
Because your screen just went blank. I can't see.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been live for like the last minute, and there's going to be a delay on the phone.
Okay.
But we're live.
All right.
All right. Well, hi, Lindsay. Thanks for watching us. So we'll go ahead, and I'm going to shut down the app. And
so there was technically difficulties that were not difficulties.
Yeah, technical difficulties on the computer, but apparently
We're live.
We are live.
Okay.
Okay. So maybe I'll turn this on and turn down the volume just in case we get any comments or anything like that. So
that's probably a good idea.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, there goes my data. Hey. All right. Where were we? We were introducing ourselves. Yes, Lindsay says we're on. Thank you.
Thank you
for that.
Confirmation.
All right.
We need that.
Okay, and we'll have to be careful if you can. That microphone's kind of sensitive. So anyway, North Platte in a nutshell. I'm Jerome.
I'm Ginger.
And this is Jim. And we're here at the Lincoln County Historical Museum with the backdrop of the cows.
Movie stars, John Wayne, Red River.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
See, you're an interesting person to have on because you
have lots of useless knowledge.
Yeah, well, not useless, but yes, knowledge of North Platte.
I'm taking the hat off. I know it's Kentucky Derby, but I'm taking it off now.
Yeah. Is it getting hot?
Yes.
The hat is because you were just doing today. You were doing a hat. Demonstration.
Yeah. I had newcomers, which is a group of ladies that meet, I think, once a month, and they wanted to know more about the historical hats that we had in our collection.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. So the reason we're coming to you live is because there's an event coming up in North Platte that is actually coming up very soon, and we didn't want to miss it, basically. And it's North Platte Giving Day.
Yes.
Yeah. So you are heavily involved in this.
I am heavily involved with that. Yes.
Okay. So let the people know that may not know, what is North Platte Giving Day.
So North Platte Giving Day is a 24-hour fundraising event where we can support 68 local nonprofits just by giving. There's over 40 prizes that each nonprofit has an opportunity to win just by people giving to them. So if you give to, let's say, the museum, for example, between 2 and 4, and this is just an example, and the random selection comes up and it's your donation and you made a donation to the museum, they would get that $200 prize that would go to them. We have over, I said 68 local nonprofits, and all of them do great, fantastic work and definitely need supporting in any kind of way. So it's kind of what it is.
Yeah, I think we won $500 in prizes last year.
I think you have, yeah. I think you did. I mean, the prizes are quite
substantial.
They are.
So as far as being a nonprofit who benefits from Giving Day, obviously the money that you get through donations goes to the facility to upkeep, things of that nature.
Yeah, one of the things I like to let everybody know is that we are not funded by the county or the city. We are a private nonprofit. And so these kinds of funds go a long ways toward us being able to continue our operations. And we always try to have a specific project that we're going to do with the funds. So last year was new doors on the back of the museum. I mean, I actually got to borrow a floor, and it was well, it's like a thing that shows heat.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. And it showed like massive amounts of heat going out of the building through these old doors. And so we were able to raise the funds for new doors through Giving Day last year. And then the year before that, we were able to purchase 2 shipping containers for our 2 biggest public events that we have. We needed storage. So lots of things help out through North Platte Giving Day.
A lot of the nonprofits have very specific goals that they are wanting to try to do with the raised money that they do or that they get. So I know like the Playhouse is trying to, they had a main water break happen.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
They now have a bill of quite substantial amount that they have to pay.
Right.
And so this is a great way for them to kind of fundraise that. I know it's not a very sexy or like wonderful fundraiser, but
It's needed.
it's something that's needed. And that's pretty much what every nonprofit is. I mean, every nonprofit has a need that may not be the most sexiest, but they still need it to be able to function and operate.
Does your child participate in the plays down there?
Mhm.
Well,
Right.
Do you go to plays?
Do
Do
you
you
go to
go to the
plays,
movies?
movies? They have to pay their bills. And this is one
Exactly.
way you can help them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, and like you said, there's over 60 nonprofits. So
68.
68. So there's no
All
shortage.
local.
Yeah, all
All
local. So it's not like a statewide or
Mhm.
nationwide thing. So there's no shortage of people here in North Platte or organizations that have a need. And the needs vary so much from a historical museum, the Playhouse, addiction recovery facilities, you know,
The animals.
recreation, the animals, recreation. I mean, and this one blows my mind that they're on the list because many people may not know. And you're like,
I'm like, I wonder what you're gonna say.
Nebraska Land Days.
Oh,
Yes.
Nebraska Land Days is actually considered a nonprofit.
Mhm.
They have, I believe, 2 full-time employees. That's it. Everybody else is volunteer board members, people who put on the event. But they are considered a nonprofit because they take the money from the previous year and roll it into the next year, which is why it tends to get bigger and bigger and bigger every year, especially the musical acts that they can bring in, because all that money that they raise rolls.
Mhm.
And they also have some overhead costs as well. I
Yeah.
mean, to run an event that size, I don't even want to collect the bills out.
The porta potty rentals. No one thinks about that kind of stuff.
Exactly, the
Yeah.
food.
Right.
And I know they do have some nonprofits and they have like food vendors and things like that. But the upkeep of the facility, all of that stuff costs money, and they're not, you know, rolling in the dough. They're putting it back into it.
Mhm.
So, and the reason it surprises me is because when you look at that event year after year, it looks like they're bringing in so much money. It's like, why do they need donations? Well, if you want it to be a better event, if you want them to bring different new things here, that's where the money comes in. Sorry, it's been a while since I've worn headphones and talked to them. But that's what the money goes to, is that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you can make donations to them. So
I mean, there's so many really worthy causes. Well, they're all worthy, to be honest. They really are all worthy of any donations. The Wellness Fund or the Wellness Recreation Fund that they
Mhm.
have, they're actually raising money for equipment, like exercise equipment that you can put along the trails. So, I mean, that's kind of cool.
that is.
I mean, there's all kinds of different things. The animal, I believe it's Positive Partners with Love of Paws. One of the 2 Positive Partners. They have a fundraiser going for something specific. I mean, all of them, they have great information on all of their profiles. You can definitely go check the website out. It's northplattgivingday.org, and all 68 local nonprofits are up there. You can kind of check them all out.
And that's on Tuesday?
Wednesday,
Wednesday.
May 8th. Wednesday,
May
May 8th.
Okay.
From midnight to 11:59.
So the
PM.
whole time that it is May 8th
Mhm.
is when you can get on. So it doesn't matter, and you can't use the excuse, well, I'm at work,
Yeah,
Right.
you can't.
you know,
And
or any of that.
actually,
Yeah.
actually, you can pre-schedule your gifts right now, so
Really?
they won't be charged until May 8th at midnight. But you can pre-schedule. So if you're concerned that you're going to forget, or if you're going to be out of town or on a plane or whatever it may be, you can actually make your gift now.
Yeah, I mean, I have checks right now that I'm holding from board members who are wanting me to use it for matching funds.
You have to tell me.
Well, I just got this, okay? I didn't have time to tell you. All right. So we have about $500 in matching funds right now to start off with. So
That's great.
yeah.
That's wonderful, Jim.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's fantastic. And that again will all go to you know, the North Platte or the Lincoln County Historical Museum, which we were talking about some of the historical people
Mhm.
in town. some of the more nefarious for other reasons I don't want to get into right now. It's a top secret, hopefully, fingers crossed project. But there is a lot of history in this area that people may not be aware of. Like, well, for instance, I mean, in the background, if you can see this,
Can you see?
let me check. Yes, you can see one of the cows.
Trying to go
Right
this
there,
way.
yeah.
This
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, we've got longhorn cattle back here. Some people may think, fuck, you got cows in your museum for? There's a reason for that.
Do you know how many? I mean, we get people from all over the world here, literally from every continent. And they come in here, and 99% of them have never seen a bison or a longhorn. And some of them actually get scared and start shaking
Seriously?
because
Really?
they've never been around an animal that large. So this is kind of an interesting interaction.
Huh. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting.
Mhm.
There was another piece last time we were here. We did our first episode from here, and we were over by Black Diamond, the bison, who is over there staring at us.
She is staring at us.
There's a piece of history in this museum that I found fascinating, and I told my wife about it. And maybe you can let our listeners and viewers know. An old, World War II machine gun, right? World War II or World War I?
Yeah, are you talking about the silver one?
Yes.
Okay, it's World War One.
World War One. Okay, there's an interesting story behind that, and that is.
Well, it was found in a pond near the river, snagged by a fisherman. So it's down in it. And the reason it was there, we never will know for sure, except the gentleman that found it took it into the sheriff's office. And when they traced back the serial number, it came up as the machine gun for our local National Guard unit. And it was taken with them overseas during World War I and never came back.
So it was listed as missing in action, basically.
Right.
But it ended up in a pond here.
Right.
So,
Huh.
so the theory is that somebody just really liked that gun.
And then they got scared or something about
Yeah.
having it and threw it away. And now it's here at the museum.
Right. So there's that. I mean, you have an armory here. You have Western history and more modern history as well.
Right. Yeah. Yes, we go all the way back to the Pioneer Age. And then we go all the way up into World War II with the canteen. And now we're just starting to collect artifacts to tell the local story from the Vietnam War.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
think about this. Most of the guys that were in Vietnam are 70 years old.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That just like,
Yeah, you don't
you,
think about it
no.
No.
really. But yeah, wow.
I mean, by that time, we had already been interviewing the World War II guys for a decade or two. And we're missing out on these guys. And so a lot of them don't want to talk about, sorry.
Yeah,
A lot,
it's all
of
right.
them, a lot of them don't want to talk about their experiences, but one of the things we want to learn about here at the museum is not necessarily, we don't want to learn the blood and guts. That's not what we're about. We want to know their story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because it was highly documented.
right.
But it's not like per the perspective of the person, actually, of the soldier.
Right. I mean, what
It's-
was your day like every day
Yeah.
there? We want to know as best. I mean, obviously we can't know exactly what it was like because we weren't there, but we got to know as much as we can about it.
So, like, when I think of Vietnam, and I'm a history buff, you know this. You and I have talked history for,
Ever.
well, yeah. God, how long have we known each other?
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't, never mind.
it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Anyway, but like when I think of Vietnam War, like what I think of is Forrest Gump.
Yeah, right.
Honestly,
right,
that's
right.
what I think of. That is the vision that I have. And then I've also seen a lot of the documentaries and all that kind of stuff. But for some reason, that is what sticks in my head. I have a reason to believe that's not exactly how it was, but I don't know. That'd be pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, so I mean that's where we're at right now is we're trying to start recording some of that history. And it's not just the Vietnam veterans, but really it's other things that were going on in our community.
Mm-hmm.
We just were the recipients of the Brown Hirano photo collection, which is at least 80,000 photographs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and what's really cool is they did aerial photos almost every year of North Platte. And so we're going to eventually down the road be able to put together a collection, an exhibit on the development of North Platte.
That would be cool.
That's awesome. That would be fantastic to see, especially aerial, because then you can get a kind of a scope of
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
what's going on. Yeah.
You see each of the additions being put in.
Mhm.
It's so cool.
Well, and that's the thing, because I've seen historical photos of downtown.
Mhm.
And it's always fun to kind of look at them because some of them are pretty good quality. Some of them are black and white and kind of grainy. So you look at them and it's like, okay, what building am I looking at? What corner am I looking at? You know, you try to piece it together. But to be able to see the actual city
growing.
start to grow would
Uh-huh.
be really interesting.
Uh-huh.
And when I think of the Vietnam War, it's funny that you bring up Forrest Gump. I think of Platoon because I loved that movie when I was a kid. I wore that VHS cassette out.
Get some.
Yeah. So that is one of those wars that, well, and I think it's, some people call it the Forgotten War, you know, and
I thought that was the Korean War.
Was that the Korean War?
Well, you know what? I'm going to mediate and say, sure.
All right.
Okay.
We got the history guy here, but either way, I mean, that was one of those wars that was also very divisive in America.
Mhm.
A lot of people were against it. A lot of people thought we had no business being there. So to get not only the history of the soldiers, but get the history of the community and what was going on in the community, and you know, the people for or against, getting some of that history would be interesting to see as well. So you get a full scope of it instead of just the war. How it affected our area. And that's one of the benefits to having this historical museum here, is you can focus specifically on this town, because this town does have, you know, and I've only lived here about 10 years, but in the 10 years I've lived here, I've learned this town does have a very rich history.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's amazing. We're 24,000 people, and almost 25, I think, right? And the history that we have in this area, there are towns across the country that would be envious of that are twice our size.
Right.
It goes all the way back to even before the Oregon Trail. I mean, think about that. Where you live right now, thousands and thousands of people traveled across the country, right in your backyard.
Right. And still do with I-80.
Right.
I mean, how many cars and trucks and stuff pass by every day?
There, every let's see, a quarter of the people on the Oregon Trail died. So just about probably, I don't know how many miles we are across, but we probably have 10 or more people probably buried along the entire length of the town.
That's interesting.
See, and it's that kind of history you can help contribute to at Giving Day.
It is.
And keep it going.
I don't know.
Also seeing here, again, kind of going off here instead of off there because that screen went black. Brandon McCook is watching, tuned in, and he is heading up 308 BMX.
Oh yeah.
And I don't have the list, and I don't want to lose our live stream here, but
They are not on.
They are not on. What?
I know. They didn't. It wasn't submitted this year, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, that's still a local nonprofit that can use
It is.
some help.
And if
So,
you would like to donate to them, I just encourage you to bring in a check to the Mid-Nebraska Community Foundation, and we will make sure it gets the right people in the right fund.
okay. Yeah, because I mean, you said there's 68 on there, but there could be more.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There are
that
definitely
around need, you know, that aren't a part of Giving Day, but can be
and we don't
in the future.
reject like nonprofits. Like no, you can't be in this. They do have to fit certain criteria though. So if they fit that criteria, they can be in. And plus they need
You have to register in time too.
Exactly. That's a whole other thing. You have to register within a certain period of time. So if there are nonprofits out there that haven't been able to register, get a hold of me and let's get you on the list and we'll figure out how to get you involved.
Well, this happens every year.
This is our 4th year.
Yeah.
So this is relatively new, and we do have intentions of keeping it going for as long as we can. Once we start to see, you know, donors start to be like, no, maybe not wanting to donate or not raising, we never have a goal
I mean,
how much we want to raise.
From the first year we started, which
That was a debacle. The first
because
year.
the site went down.
Yes, that was a debacle.
So
Yeah.
but we still raised about $3,000 that year, and since then we're approaching 7. So in 4 years, so it's going up.
Yeah, I mean, and every year our total has gone up. That first year was absolute chaos because the website did crash, but every single year after that, we have seen our donations go up, our gifts go up, just people really rallying around our nonprofits and what they do for our community and just supporting them. And that's what they need. They need our support. Every nonprofit in our community needs our support because every single one of them does an amazing job and fits a need and a service here in the community.
Well, if you think about it, the things that most nonprofits do, if they weren't there with your support, a lot of them would have to be done by the government.
Yes.
Which means you would be taxed even
Yes.
more.
Well, and not only that, but when, because I served on the board of Deborah's Legacy for a couple of years, and another thing that some people may not consider is when government starts funding, that's when government can start making you do you
Right.
have to do certain things government wants you to do, or you have to follow certain guidelines to get that government funding.
Right.
Whereas like, Deborah's Legacy is a faith-based organization. There are other organizations out there that may want to do things their own way. So they know where the funds need to go. They know what their program is. They know what, and when you have, and not that I'm just one of those like government, but when the government steps in and starts giving money, that's when they start throwing their weight around, and it may change the organization
Well,
to
a lot
where,
of times,
the founders, that's not what the founding people wanted it to be.
I mean, if you have a government foundation, they have to, or government sponsorship, if you will, they have to make certain criteria boxes.
Mhm.
So that means you have to try to fit within that box. And that can be tough.
Yeah, and it can be tough, especially for a community of this size, like you said, around 25,000. And when we talked to Cassie a while back, she said outlying communities could bump it up to about 30. So conservative estimate 25 to 30, including the outlying areas.
You were talking about outlying areas. We really, as a museum, serve all the surrounding counties because North Platte is kind of the central urban population. And so those outlying communities can't tell their history very well because they don't have the fund, they don't have the organizations.
Right.
So that's one of the things we have to do.
You guys have always taken in donations from those counties too.
Oh, yeah. And we try to tell their story. We just need more artifacts from those.
Haven't some of the houses back in the village come from?
They have all come from Lincoln County.
Oh, they have. Okay.
Yep, but from all the farthest points from Lincoln County. Yeah.
And with communities that size, like you said, like a Sutherland, let's say, is even smaller than North Platte, Hershey, that there is a limited number of volunteers for this as well. So to be able to have these organizations do what they want to do, they need the funding because, a lot of people aren't getting paid, and some people have great ideas. It's just putting it in action, and nothing's free, So, but I think that something like Giving Day is really great because you can get so much funding for all of these on one day. There's matching donations, there's incentives. It can really be, for a nonprofit, it can be a huge shot in the arm.
We have a couple nonprofits who have completely kind of restructured their fundraising for the year to actually try to get most of their fundraising done for Giving Day, just because it's just this collective effort, and it does make a difference. It really does make a difference when you work together as a group of nonprofits rather than just an individual. Because if you think about it, we have all these nonprofits that are preaching the same word of give on this day, we need your help. Compared to this one over here, the squeaky mouse, you're like, help, you can't hear that one, but you hear this collectiveness. So we do have a lot of them that are restructuring to be able to kind of get donations during Giving Day.
Well, and something else with nonprofits too, that obviously the money that's raised goes to staff that they have, facilities, upkeep of artifacts and those kinds of things. But even fundraisers themselves cost funds. I mean, you don't have a banquet it's now the Ramada, but it used to be the Quality Inn and Suites. That's a lot of money.
It is.
To rent out that banquet hall to hold a banquet. It could be like $8,000 to $10,000. And that's money that comes out of the nonprofit's pocket. And they're hoping to God that they can either underwrite that cost or make enough to offset what they just spent, So yeah, when you hear about nonprofits having these big banquets and things like that, it's not donated. They're not donating the food. They're not donating that banquet hall.
Nope.
So these funds can also help with fundraisers down the road to really draw in like the big fundraisers, to really draw in funds too. Well, I mean, like Lincoln County Historical Museum, you every year do the Christmas thing.
Yeah, right.
You have the Christmas Village.
Yep. We have about 35 businesses that come in and decorate for us. And quite honestly, they're getting great advertising out of it, but they're helping us raise funds. When you throw your dollar or your quarter, whatever it is, into our donation box, you're helping us. Last year we raised $7,000 on our Christmas. And so we're providing it to the community. And I can't tell you how many times we've had people come up and they tell us, this is our Christmas.
Yeah.
We can't afford anything else. This is our Christmas. Yeah. And so your little bits allow us to continue to operate and allow us to continue to have things like that for the community.
Right. And it is, I mean, every year the businesses that come out, hats off to the businesses that come out.
Yes.
Because it is outstanding.
Mhm.
We went through
It
it
is.
twice last year. The kids, I mean, we went through it like once, and then we told the kids, okay, now make sure you look out the other windows to see what you missed. I mean, we had to go through it twice. There's so much in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Just short of 12,000, I believe, drove through it this year.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Wow. And
That's
those,
half the population.
Half the population of North Platte.
That's incredible.
right. And people can come out and check out those buildings, obviously not at Christmas.
Yeah, that it's kind of, we do have underlying things. You get a lot of people in here that don't think they ever want to go to a museum. They come out for this and then they're like, that might be kind of interesting to go look at this summer.
Just the stories that you have in here are just unbelievable. I mean, there's so many of them that I'm just like, I could spend days in here. Just
Quite honestly, I don't know that I have ever looked at every artifact in this museum.
really?
No.
Wow.
We have close to 30,000 artifacts. So,
Jeez.
Just here in the building or all together?
all together.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Because the buildings have artifacts in them
Yes.
as well, right?
That are all set up just like you would have lived in them or worked in them.
Well, okay, which one did they literally just pick up and bring over here?
All of them.
Well, like there was one specific one, like they just like they left all the furniture in there, everything.
Oh, the Frederickson house.
That's the one.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a Sears kit house.
Yes.
So
I love
Sears
that.
used to build houses. Yep, and you put them up by number, just like painting by number. And everything in that house is original to it.
Mhm.
And the cool part is we're actually doing restoration work on the outside of it starting last year. And it's going back to its original colors and everything, which is really cool. In
What
fact,
were the colors?
well, let's see. If you go by the names of them, I know one of them is Winter Lake. But imagine
White or blue?
imagine the house on Up.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what it looks like now. Isn't that amazing?
Okay.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the house that my wife and I bought is a Sears house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
So, yeah. When we were talking to the guy who sold it to us, and he said that it was owned by some lady, and I don't know if she was the original owner or not, but she sold it to someone who did some remodeling in there, the kitchen and that kind of stuff. So not everything in the house is original. And then he purchased it and had it as a rental for a while, and then wanted to stop being a landlord and sold the house. But yeah, and to be honest, that's the first time I've ever heard of a Sears house. He said, well, this is an old Sears house. And my wife knew. She's like, oh, really? And she's instantly like, I don't know what it is about women and the word character when it comes to houses, but that was like instant character. I'd like, as soon as she heard Sears house and she goes, really? I'm like, we're buying this house. I just knew like, this is the house we're going to live in.
All of a sudden the guy's like, oh yeah, the price just doubled.
Yeah, I know,
Right.
exactly. It's just
Right.
like, yeah. But you could see like the archway. There's still some original woodwork and stuff in there. And they're really obviously well put together houses because I'm
They
still
are.
living in it, and it's 2019. And it doesn't, I mean,
This one
It's
was
in
built
good
in
condition.
1900 and you can't wiggle the staircase banister.
wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we were looking.
And think of how many people have been that
Oh,
and been like, ooh, look, a banister.
Yeah, or kids. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all the kids. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
And I mean, prices are all relative. Obviously, back then, inflation, all that. But we got curious and looked online one time about the prices of Sears houses, and I mean, you could call up and get a house for $5,000.
Oh yeah.
But back in the day, that was a hell of a lot of money.
Uh-huh.
Now it's like, please give me a 3-bedroom house for $5,000. I'd kill for that. But back then, it was a lot of money. But yeah, ship everything out and you just erect it. You put it up.
You put it up.
Yeah.
They even had the amount of nails that you needed. So don't bend any nails.
Yeah.
No extras.
No.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The staircase in there, everything there is original.
Mhm.
I mean, everything. They didn't change anything in this house. The staircase in there, last year we had a contractor that was visiting, he was just on vacation. and he said he couldn't build the staircase that's in there for less than 50,000 today.
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah. All
Wow.
the inlaid wood and fancy work.
Oh,
So
wow.
you need to come out and look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you really do. It's one of the coolest houses.
And on North Platte Giving Day, which is on Wednesday the 8th, you can make a donation, and then that buys more Winter Lake paint for the house.
You know what I'll even do?
Put a fundraiser.
No. If you bring in and you show that you donated to the museum, we'll let you into the museum for free, so you can go look at it.
Love it.
There you go.
Okay.
See, we just did something here
We
on
did.
North Platte in a nutshell. So the nonprofits that are getting the money, I mean, nobody needs. It's not something where, and some people may be unfamiliar with this. It's not something where everybody pulls in a bunch of money and then it gets divided evenly. Obviously,
No.
you can select exactly which one you want.
It is
to go to.
donor selected.
Right.
You select where your passions are. You select what nonprofit is really truly speaking to you, and you give to that one. There's a minimum donation of $10. We did actually lower that this year from $20. Just to be able to open it up a little bit more, so that if there are people out there that truly do believe in a cause, but they're like, $20, we get it, we understand. So we did lower that a little bit. So I mean, you pick who you want to give to. You pick the causes that truly speak to you and where your heart lies.
You know what's cool is we had one lady that is donating every month.
Mhm.
You can set that up so you don't have to throw out all that cash at once.
Yeah.
She's been donating every month. I think it's like $25 every month she's been giving us.
Yep.
So
Yep.
So
You
there's
can-
giving options.
There are giving options. You can choose to give year round if you would like to. If you would like to say you want to give $25 a month to a specific non-cause or nonprofit, you can do that. Or you can just give one time. It's up to you. It's how you want to give. This is purely up to the donor what they want to do. And the nonprofit is just truly more than happy just to receive that and give you a thank you.
Mhm.
Or if you're in Jim's case, come out to the museum.
and get in for free.
Exactly.
And the amount of, I mean, there's pictures, there's old, looks like Wild West show programs, just in this room that we're in.
Yeah, we had a donor that just gave us a banner that they used in the 1893 Buffalo Bill show.
What?
Right around, yeah.
Where's
And he
that?
is from Nevada locally. He's originally from North Platte, but now he's like a huge car dealer in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Where is that?
I will show it to you after the show.
Well, he said he just got it, so I don't know if it's hanging up yet.
Yeah, it's not hanging up.
Still,
Yeah.
I want to see it.
So there's a lot of history within these walls, pertaining to North Platte, pertaining to Lincoln County. So I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here because you are the keeper of the history. What would you say is your favorite period in North Platte history?
Oh my goodness.
Because I mean, let's kind of break it down. There's like the pioneering, founding time,
Railroad building.
all that. Then there's the, and we can include the Wild West show and Buffalo Bill and all of that. So there's the Wild West time.
Right.
There's a time when there was the canteen here, World War I and II, World War II, Little Chicago, and then modern.
Time. Well, being a historian, modern time is kind of, I'm stuck in the past. I'm sorry, but I do like to use the past to try to build the future.
Right.
So not stuck in the past.
Right.
Personally, mine is the 1870s and 80s. So right after the town was founded and it's those people that were building the town and those people that were building the county. People like John Bratt. He's like my favorite person from the county. If you don't know who John Bratt was, his ranch consisted of Southwest Nebraska.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cattle baron,
big time. And when he bought land, he didn't buy it by the acre. He bought it by the township.
Wow.
Jeez.
So that's my favorite. Now, my favorite feel good, if you will, story is the canteen. You gotta love the canteen. And quite honestly, it's the nation's favorite story about this area.
Yeah, it is. For those who may not be familiar, during World War II, Bailey Yard is the largest train yard in the world. Correct. Okay, so always confused whether it's the country or the world, but it's the largest train yard in the world. So obviously North Platte has a rich railroad history. Servicemen and women would be traveling through on the railroad, and North Platte was one of the stops. And when they'd stop here, people locally would make sandwiches, bring out candy, bring out cigarettes, bring out comfort things, comic books, newspapers. But it would basically just show up and be like, thank you for your service, before thank you for your service was a hashtagable thing.
Exactly.
Here, just have a sandwich. I know you're far from home. Have a hug. Here's a blanket. You
Not
need
to mention
some
all
boots.
on rations.
Yeah.
All on rations.
And just getting out of the Great Depression.
Yes.
Yes.
So the other thing that kind of blew my mind one time is you and I were talking. We had a bus trip coming in. They were probably late as normal. But you were like, they even had to. You made this comment, and it blew my mind because they had to make the mayonnaise.
Yeah.
And they no styrofoam cups, no like throwaway items. It was all glass plates, glass cups, homemade mayonnaise. Can't go to the store and get this. All on rations. So sometimes it was goose eggs or whatever.
Whatever person brought in is what they fed them.
I mean, that blows my mind. Blows my mind. And then the whole counter that you have and everything that was.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, think about this. This was all another. See, we're talking about Giving Day. This was all donated food because they served all these soldiers for free, and this was all people from Western Nebraska, 125 communities from Western Nebraska bringing in whatever they could, and they needed, for one example, they needed half hog every day.
Wow.
So somebody out there with a hog farm, was slaughtering a hog and giving. I mean, that's like you said, out of the Great Depression. I mean, that was obviously hit our country hard. Stuff wasn't cheap. People needed to survive. They needed those pigs to survive, not let alone make money.
That's right.
And they were just here. Here you go. So when you hear somebody say North Platte or talk about it, and like Giving Day is a great example, the canteen spirit, that's what they're talking about, is the selfless act of just giving, not expecting anything in return, and especially giving to a complete stranger you may never see again. And if you think about it, I mean, World War II was horrific. This could have been the last act of kindness some of these people received as they ship off to go overseas and possibly die. And it's you're right. It is just a real feel-good, touching part of North Platte's history that I think at times people need to remember.
They do, yeah.
Absolutely.
They need to be reminded that this town is capable of that, even if it was 100 years ago.
It's capable of the largest, or if not the largest, real close, largest volunteer effort in the United States. When volunteerism was the thing to do because war was going on.
Right, because it was the right thing to do.
The right thing to do, yeah.
Right.
And if you don't think that, in this instance, it's the money that you're giving, but if you don't think that you can have an impact on someone's life in 15 minutes, because that's all these guys were here for. I was giving a presentation in Omaha, and there was a gentleman there that had Alzheimer's, and because they brought him out of the nursing home because they knew he'd gone to the canteen. And halfway through my talk, he raised his hand and said, "I had chocolate cake and coffee."
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then, like you said, that 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
So if you see old pictures of it, it looks like there's a mad rush at the train, because there is, because the people here knew we have 15 minutes to give these people whatever, encouragement, hugs, food, sandwich, blanket, go.
Yep.
And so that's why whenever you see those pictures, it looks like everybody's rushing the train, because they knew they had a limited amount of time to share whatever they had to share.
And they had people going on the tracks or on the, what do you call it, platform?
Oh yeah, platform girls.
Yeah. Giving apples, sandwiches, whatever else. So if they couldn't get off the train, they could at least get something.
Yep.
Right. And that's something also interesting too, that like you said, North Platte Giving Day, again, Wednesday the 8th, northplattegivingday.org is the website you need to check out. That day is about donating money. What these people donated was their time and their effort, which is another way. I know there are some people out there that are, struggling. They're like, hey, giving sounds great, but I can't. You can give in other ways. You can. A lot of these nonprofits need volunteers.
And we actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because we actually have a volunteer coordinator. Like if that nonprofit needs volunteers, it'll have it on their profile of a person you need to contact so that you can volunteer for them.
Because a lot of especially things like banquets, big events like the Christmas, and you do a Halloween hunt out here.
Or just painting.
Yeah, or just painting.
Mowing the lawn and weed eating.
So, I mean, a lot of things that people take for granted or don't think about. When you think about a nonprofit, depending on which nonprofit you're thinking about, and obviously we're in the museum, so we'll use that as an example. You think about the artifacts,
Right.
you think about the building, you think about the grounds, you think about the painting of it. But there are those little things like mowing the lawn, making sure that the sprinkler system's working. When you're having an event in here, maybe, you know, bringing snacks or refreshments or whatever.
Yeah, bringing cookies,
Greeting visitors.
greeting visitors, helping clean up after an event.
Yes.
Or set up during an event.
Right. So there's a lot of ways people that maybe they can't give monetarily, they can still give of their time.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too many nonprofits out there that don't need volunteers.
Yeah, quite honestly, if you're inclined to being a volunteer, it's right now is a great time to be a volunteer at any of these places, because the generation that really was into volunteering was that World War II and right after World War II generation, and they are pretty much are done with their volunteering ability to volunteer.
yeah.
And we are trying to build up that volunteer core. All of us are. And so
Why do you think that is? Like our generation, the younger generation, isn't so willing to volunteer. That's one thing that I've been pondering over the last couple of weeks.
I've never been able to put down my finger on it exactly, but I think it has something to do with the fact that everybody's working. Both spouses are working now, and we also run our children around like crazy.
True that.
Right. I think in this day and age, honestly, people they make themselves too busy.
Right.
If you've got an athletically inclined kid, and I don't know yet, my kids are all thumbs because they're toddlers still and young, and I mean, they trip over their own feet. So maybe I got a football player. He might be a painter. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like
He might end up just being a museum curator.
He might be a museum curator. He could. I mean,
Which would be awesome.
Right? Yeah, he could be a musician. I don't know what he's going to be yet, or my daughters either. One of my daughters is probably going to be a fashion designer because she's always messing with clothes, always putting on costumes, trying to mix and match and stuff. So, honey, if mommy's letting you watch, stick with it. But I forgot the point I was getting at, but I totally lost it. I was thinking about my beautiful children. Being busy. Yes, thank you.
Uh-huh.
But that's the thing. Anybody who, I mean, you were at a soccer game with your son.
Yeah.
You had to paint your bathroom.
Yeah.
And you were here doing the hat thing and all that. Anybody with kids who are running around from one event to another event, it might be time for you to take a look at your life, take a moment and go, okay, do we really need to be involved in this? Or do we really need to be spending that much time with this? And kind of scale back your life a little bit, and not only to free yourself up for yourself, but to free yourself up for possibly volunteering. And there are studies, I know I'm not talking out of my ass on this one. There are studies that show, I know I'm not, there have been studies that have shown that volunteering is actually good for your mental health. It's good for your physical health because it makes you feel good to do something for somebody else. So it helps with your endorphins. A lot of the volunteer stuff could be physical volunteering, like moving stuff around and all that.
And you know what? Something that you don't necessarily get when you're taking your kids everywhere is if you volunteer, it shows your kids that you care about your community and you care about something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that builds character in your children.
You can even bring your children into it.
Oh,
in a lot of
definitely.
cases. Like here,
Mhm.
I would totally bring my kid into this and make him.
You hand them a dust rag and say, go.
He would mow your lawn for you.
Nice.
Right. I'm keeping my kids away from breakable stuff. Again, they trip on their own feet. So I don't want to be the person that, destroys
We'll have
Buffalo Bill's curio cabinet.
We'll have them pull weeds. How's that sound?
You know what? If they're dandelions, you can just I guarantee they will be gone. My kids are in that age of, ooh, look, a flower. And I'm like, yes, pick that flower. All the other flowers on this side of this brick line, those are your mommy's flowers. You don't touch them. These flowers, pull all of them.
Did you guys ever learn when you pull a dandelion up, it's got a little stem? Did you ever hear the saying, Mommy had a baby and its head popped off?
Yes. I used to do that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Oh my gosh, it's morbid, but yeah, you grab the dandelion and you go,
You
Mom,
pop the head off.
you pop the head off the dandelion.
It must be a guy thing.
It's got to be a boy thing.
Yeah.
No.
See how long you
Here,
flip it.
Mom, here's a flower.
Yeah, that's how my kids are. And I'm like, yes, pick all the yellow flowers. Leave the red and purple ones over there alone. Or mommy will be very upset.
Yeah.
So, but it is good. And like you said, showing your kids a sense of community and how important it is to support your community. Another thing that I feel like this city needs to be reminded to do in a lot of instances. Not to get on the soapbox and get preachy or anything like that, but there needs to be more support in our community, especially for these nonprofits, especially for things like the Playhouse, like the museum, like any other nonprofit that we mentioned, the parks and everything else. That, I mean, I saw there are some slides in this town that I can't let my kids go down because the rivets that hold the bottom of it are poked through and they'll scrape their leg or cut their leg. These are the kinds of things that the community needs to be focusing on, not whether or not we have an effing Target.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
We just don't, we don't need a goddamn Olive Garden. We don't need to be focusing on that. We need to be focusing on the things that we use every single day. Parks, trails, roads, museums, Playhouse,
And all
addiction centers, all that stuff.
all the studies show that if you have wonderful things like that, you draw in the businesses and the people.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
And another thing too, and going in hand with that, if you're taking your money out to other communities and increasing their tax base and shopping in their stores, you're helping them, not you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So building up pride in this community, I mean, that's part of what we're trying to do with the podcast here, and talk to local people like Jim and highlight what this city has that
Highlight
people can
and
take pride in.
activate. I will say
Yes.
activate too.
Yes, and North Platte Giving Day is a good way to, even if they haven't before, that's a good way to start, is to just see the list of all the places that help the people in need, or help to educate, or help to entertain that need our help.
Yeah.
If you've had a fourth grader in the last 12 years, they've been to this museum. Have you?
Yes.
Good.
Am I still a fourth grader?
Because
Yes.
we actually bring every fourth grader in North Platte out here every year.
Yeah.
And they utilize this. You know, they learn about they learn about Nebraska history in fourth grade. And it's great to learn it out of books, and it's great. But you know what? They come out to a local place like this, and they get hands on, and it's driven into their brain.
They don't have to come out here just when they're in fourth grade, because
Nope.
you have a scavenger hunt that they can also do.
Yeah, we've switched it up this year.
Ooh, good.
Yeah, they got to look for a particular artifact.
Nice.
Sweet. And I mean, I don't know about fourth grade girls because I was never a fourth grade girl, but a fourth grade.
Good to know.
I know, right? To look at me, can't tell.
Would you
No.
like my hat?
Oh God, yes. Anyway, for those of you who missed it, Ginger was wearing a hat. What fourth grade boy doesn't like looking at rifles,
Exactly.
or the machine gun we talked about earlier,
Or looking through a tank periscope.
that kind of stuff. I mean, those are all badges. Looks like old sheriff badges. There's a lot of cool history in here, and I'm sure girls of that age can find some really cool history in here.
He's got a
as well.
jewelry box and a hat store thing back there. That's pretty darn cool.
You can try on hats. Come on.
You try on hats. There's some beautiful furniture here, great pictures, and you get to learn about, like you said, the people who built this town.
The houses, the buildings,
right.
everything.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, there's some really cool stuff.
How this community was built.
Yeah.
And it has grown,
Mm-hmm.
because in World War II, it was only 12,000 people.
See, and that's another thing is when you think World War II, you think Canteen, you think North Platte. We have such a, I don't want to say limited view, but sometimes it's just easier to go with what you know. So you're thinking of North Platte as it is now.
Right.
But like you said, at the time, it was 12,000 people, and still enough of community support that it has made such an impact on lives that, like you said, somebody with Alzheimer's who is losing their memory, who is, for lack of a better term, losing their mind, remembers. I had chocolate cake and a coffee in North Platte. There's been stories of people saying, I remember this little old lady who gave me a pack of gum. And it was just and that's what helped get them, because they were scared. These kids were 18, 19 years old.
Some of them were younger than that. It was like,
Yeah, because they have I know. I mean, they had to get out of a bad situation or whatever. So
They'd never been very far from their home because of the Great Depression.
Right, and they're heading overseas to possibly die, and they all knew it, and they remembered. Of all the things, and I'm sure it's not the only thing they remember, but of all the harrowing experiences that they encountered, the act of kindness of a little old lady saying, "Here's some Wrigley's."
And it wasn't the gum.
No, it wasn't the gum.
It was the act of what she did.
Yeah, it was the fact that these people, they didn't know these people.
Yeah.
Of what they gave. I mean,
to really put it all together, I always think of like the envisions of what we have and the stories that I've been told and have listened to of the canteen volunteers. And then I think of where they were shipped off to, those servicemen. I'm going in their head. And then I just kind of transition into Band of Brothers and what that movie is like and what North Platte did for that type of situation. How many of those people remembered that and were conscious of, okay, it'll be okay because, back home it's fine.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's right. They were doing it when they left here. When you go into war and especially when it's a war like World War II, and you're probably going to die, it's a lot easier to settle that with yourself when you know why you're going to die. And when they left North Platte, they knew why they were going to war and possibly going to die, and it was that lady right there.
Exactly. And I mean, it's such a beautiful piece of the city's history that sometimes it does get, it gets a little overshadowed sometimes by Buffalo Bill, especially around Nebraska Land Days, the Wild West history. That's where it comes.
Hey, it's another good part of our history.
Right.
Yeah.
It seems like, and not that it's, bad. Whenever anybody gets their hands on Evil Obsession and reads that book, because when I first got my hands on Evil Obsession, I could not put it down. I read it. I was like, this is the worst, of all the horror movies I've seen, of all the terrible stories I've heard, I was like, this is by far the worst.
If you go out to the cemetery in the wintertime, there's snow on the ground out there. It's only her grave that has no snow because she's burning in hell.
It would not surprise me one bit. One bit. So that can sometimes overshadow that canteen, story or the canteen history. Right. But I think that more people in the community need to hold on to the canteen story more than any other, because again, especially in the spirit of what we're talking about with Giving Day, it shows that it doesn't take much to get out and do something, and you can literally change the course of somebody's life, how their attitude, how they feel about things, where their life is going, just by saying, hey, would you like to have a sandwich? Would you like to go to the museum? Would you like to hear this story? Would you like that? Just the little bit of help can really change somebody.
What you do on North Platte Giving Day is, you may not be able to physically be out there to help that person or educate that person, but you're making it possible.
Right.
Yeah. And so
it's cool to see as the year goes on after North Platte Giving Day, to see what the nonprofits actually are able to do with the money, and different things are coming back. Some of it is just basic needs, and that's great. If that's what they need, that's what they need. We're there to support that. But to be able to see some of their dreams, their goals, stuff that they want to do for the community actually be able to be possible because of North Platte Giving Day is really awesome.
Well, and it's all to greater benefit, regardless of which nonprofit that you're giving to. It's all to benefit North Platte and in many instances the surrounding communities. Just because of North Platte, or just because a nonprofit is based in North Platte, doesn't mean it doesn't service surrounding communities or counties.
Right.
So and it's in a perfect world, you would see that change take effect right away and go, that's what my money went to. But a lot of the times it's a slow process, but eventually you start to see that turnaround. Which again is another thing people need to learn in this instant. I'm looking at my phone here, and within 2 seconds I'm seeing my hands move. You know what I mean? We're in a give it to me right now culture these days. People need to learn to be patient with their donations and their time and the things. The work will come.
Yeah.
The change, the turnaround will come, but it has to grow in places like Giving Day. That's where it starts.
It takes persistence,
yeah.
And a lot of cases these nonprofits could be helping your neighbors too, and you just don't know it.
Right. That's right.
Right. Well, and some of these nonprofits, like you said, they deal with things that aren't on the forefront. Like the Lincoln County Historical Museum. You come on out here, talk history. Jim's happy to do it. Show you some hats. I'm looking at them right now. He'll be like,
they're beautiful hats, aren't they?
They are beautiful hats. Like
He
if
can
you
tell
walk
you
in,
the history of them,
the
and
history of the
everything.
hats. I mean, if you walk in here sometime and Jim's like, you want to see the hats? You know, he can do that for you.
Run the other way if I say that.
An hour later, you're just like, no, more hats. He's like, I've got one more. but some of these nonprofits help with situations that people don't like talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Rape and domestic abuse.
Bridge of Hope.
Bridge of Hope. That drug addiction.
Is Deborah's Legacy, you said? Is on
Yeah.
there?
Yep.
Yeah,
They're on
Deborah's
there.
Legacy is on there. There are a lot of nonprofits that help with some of the darker aspects of our town, the stuff that people don't like talking about.
But desperately need
Right.
help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Desperately.
And those are especially giving to organizations like that. Like you said, not that one is any more worthy or less worthy than the other, but giving to organizations like that you're definitely helping somebody's life get better. You may not ever meet that person. You may never see how it affects their life, but trust me, their life is getting better. They're on the right track.
Animals. I mean, animals are
Animals.
another one
Yeah.
that benefit from North Platte Giving Day too. We have Paws of Partners and For the Love of Paws on there.
Because not every dog and cat is lucky like Daisy.
That's right.
My dog has
Okay.
it the best.
And here's the other thing: if you come out to the museum, you get to meet Daisy.
Yeah.
Daisy is Jim's dog, and typically she just stays over at his house unless I'm here. And then I try to invite her
She's
into
kind of
the
the museum
museum,
mascot.
and then
Yeah.
Jim's like, "No, get out of the museum." And I'm like, "Oh, poor Daisy."
You know, and there's lots of dogs and cats that don't, they have a bad life. And
Mhm.
there's lots of people that have experienced some pretty bad stuff in their life. And a lot of them haven't had a choice in that. And
Exactly.
these nonprofits are helping to heal those wounds as best they can and make them productive citizens again.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, with the dog and cat population, especially strays, I mean, I see stray cats all the time. These are like any person, they need love. They need to be a little kid to pet them and that kind of stuff. And that's what the money is going towards. So no matter, I mean, with 68 different nonprofits, no matter what you're into, pets, kids, history, entertainment,
Law enforcement. Here's
law
an interesting
enforcement.
one. Here's an interesting one. The sheriff's department, they are needing rifle sights for their guns. They already have the guns purchased, but they need holographic rifle sights. And so we actually have a fund at the Mid-Nebraska Community Foundation that is specifically set up for that. I mean, obviously that is something that is benefiting the community in a sense of protection. I mean, so there's literally a nonprofit or a fund out there for everybody, for every passion that you could possibly think of.
Yeah. And it all happens on Wednesday.
All of it happens on Wednesday.
From midnight. The moment it hits midnight till 11:59. So the full day of the 8th. So no matter if you work graveyards during the day, night shift, can't say you didn't have time to log on.
Nope.
You can do it.
And you get to follow it, right?
And yes, you get to follow it. We have a live leaderboard, so you can see exactly who is getting the most money. You can look and see who has matching funds. So if you're interested in giving to a nonprofit that has matching funds, you and I need to talk afterwards, because don't let me forget that. You can donate to those. You can look and see the prize list. So if you have a group of people who are wanting to give within a certain period of time to see if you can get a nonprofit a prize, look at their prize list. You can sometimes choreograph things. I know
That's we did. That's how we got one of our biggest prizes.
exactly. I mean, so you can kind of work things how you guys want to. There's also a new feature on the website where you can actually build a campaign, a fundraising campaign, much like you see on Facebook where you see I'm having a birthday, give to this cause for me kind of type thing, but you can create that. So if you have one for the museum where you're needing paint, you can have somebody or you yourself can set up a campaign specifically for that paint or for whatever it may be.
The cool part is, unlike GoFundMe, it's being done through Mid-Nebraska Community Foundation, so you know it's legit.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. This is funded. This is all hosted by Mid-Nebraska Community Foundation. 100% of every single donation actually goes to all of the nonprofits. We have some very generous donors that are actually taking care of all of the card costs, any fees that may be incurred from this is taken care of by them. So 100% of all donations truly do go to the nonprofit of your choice when you give.
And that's always good to know too. Like you said, it's not like GoFundMe
Mm-mm.
or some other kind of, some organizations where you donate, they take 10% or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that also helps people to donate to know that all of their money is going. Because I know some people that don't donate to any cause because they're cynical, essentially. And they're like, well, only a dime, like the March of Dimes thing. Like, only a dime of my money is going to the people that need help. Or they're keeping 50%. And they have that attitude regardless of, and if you have that attitude, stop it, grow up. But really, I mean, come on,
Yeah.
like don't be that way, especially when you hear somebody who's two people who are involved in this telling you 100% goes, then 100% goes to the organization of your choice. And that's why it's important to give, especially on Giving Day. And again, it impacts the local community. It's people that even some of the stuff we talked about. It may be somebody that you don't know they're going through it, but they're using one of these organizations to get through it. Or it's the really nice lady that always greets you every morning at the coffee shop and knows exactly what you order. She might be going through some shit, and one of these organizations helping her. Or you like to go to Nebraska Land Days and ride the Tilt-A-Whirl, even though they haven't had one for years, which if anybody from Nebraska Land Days watches this, you best have a Tilt-A-Whirl this year at the carnival. Pisses me off they don't have a Tilt-A-Whirl. It's my favorite carnival ride.
I think the carnival's already booked, so.
I know it's already booked. Carnival Americana, is it?
I don't know.
Whatever. Bring a Tilt-A-Whirl.
But not teacups, because I got really sick on teacups once.
Yeah, just screw the teacups. Teacups are stupid.
Bring
Tilt-A-Whirl.
I don't care.
Well, okay, like, not to be negative or nothing, but the last few years it's been like 2 fun houses, like the carnival. I'm glad they got a different carnival provider this year.
That'll be cool, yeah.
Bring it Tilt-A-Whirl. Anyway, that's just my own.
Are those still safe, actually?
Yeah, they're safe as I love them. I love Tilt-A-Whirls. They're my favorite carnival ride because
That's what I did on the teacup.
Sandlot. It's a Sandlot.
the thing of
Chew and just, oh
what is the movie? Oh God, I can't remember the movie, but there's a movie from the 80s, and this began my love of Tilt-A-Whirls before I ever rode a Tilt-A-Whirl. They created a spaceship out of a Tilt-A-Whirl car, and I cannot remember the name of that movie. But
hell movie.
Yes, my wife just said Tilt-A-Whirl, and there's no, oh God, what is that movie? I can't remember what it's called. But they go up into space, and it's got River Phoenix in it,
you're dating yourself, man.
Ethan Hawke when they were kids. I think it was like Ethan Hawke's first movie.
Oh, okay.
So it's really old. Yes, I am dating myself.
Somebody Google it.
Please, somebody Google it. And it's an alien movie from the 80s where they build the Tilt-A-Whirl spaceship, but they go up to the spaceship. And they meet these aliens, and the aliens show them a good time, and it's a really weird movie.
Sounds like
it is.
Somebody was tripping on acid when they came up with this movie.
It's an awesome movie. And then I went to Carnival, and I'm like, oh my God, it's a spaceship, because I was a really little kid. So I rode the Tilt-A-Whirl, and it was just so much fun, especially leaning one way or the other.
Okay. So you weren't disappointed that you didn't go up to space and meet some aliens or some shit like that?
No, but what was really cool about it is that no, not yet. Somebody needs to Google that. But whenever I'm on the Tilt-A-Whirl, I'm always looking at that pin in the middle because I'm always afraid that thing's going to shear off and send me flying off into space.
But you have a good time with aliens.
I would. It's not Flight of the Navigator. That's not
the
it.
name's gonna pop in his head.
It's gonna pop in my head when it's done.
If anybody has watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, comment.
Yeah. No, but that's phone booth.
I know.
Do you have a phone booth here?
I do have a phone booth here.
Like this?
No, it's wooden. It's older.
That's still sweet.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, gotta tell you, this is really funny. I had a group of Cub Scouts in here. Take them to the museum. Some of them are bored to death. Some of them are having a lot of fun. I make them, all touch the mammoth poop. That gets them going.
You have mammoth poop?
I have mammoth poop here.
How am I just now hearing about this?
Another podcast or another live.
Yeah.
I will get the mammoth poop.
We should go tour everything.
We should do that sometime.
That would work.
Yeah.
So I get them over to the telephones, and they're cranking them. They're like, "Huh? You do what?" That kind of stuff.
Mm.
They get to the telephone booth, and they see the phone book, and the whole rest of the tour stops, and we spend the next half hour looking at a phone book. They've never seen a phone book in their life, and so
That makes sense.
and they're like, "I can look up my family in this book."
Do they even get? Because I know they used to just drop phone books off people's porches.
I
but
still
do
get
they?
one.
You still get one?
Yeah.
I don't get one.
But I bet you it's not this big like
no,
it used to
it's
be.
like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one we have from North Platte is that thick.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
I remember, like okay, living in Wyoming where I did, it was like that. It
Mhm.
like Cheyenne was that big, and now North Platte is like that.
Yeah. When I was a kid, because I grew up in Denver, I remember there was the white and yellow pages.
Yep.
It wasn't just together.
Right.
You had to
You had
have
two.
both. Yeah, you had two.
Yeah.
Right.
Yellow pages were for business, white pages were for
God,
residential.
we're fucking old.
Right? And you better hope you're not looking at like Anderson
Oh my
or
god.
Smith.
Wait, what was his dad's name again?
Right?
And why do you think there are businesses that are named A1?
Yep.
Because they show up first in the
Yep.
yeah. Like AAA this, it's because they're first in the phone book.
Mhm.
That's why they name their business that, because
Yep.
back in the day, if you're looking for a painter, for a house, you just go to painters.
A1 Painters.
A1.
Yep.
Oh, we'll go with that guy.
Yeah, and that's the first one you call. You get a quote, and usually
Yep.
you just go with the first one because it's like, oh, that's reasonable. That's what I plan on.
I really don't want to look through the phone book anymore.
Right.
Oh my God, Explorers! Thank you.
Explorers.
The Explorers. Watch that movie. Explorers. They build a spaceship out of a tilt-a-whirl car.
That's
Tilt-a-whirl car.
Is it on Netflix?
I doubt it. I don't think
You
so.
gotta buy it off of eBay.
Yeah, you got to go find it.
And you have to make sure you have a VCR.
Right. Yeah. Which, by the way, I still have.
I've got a VCR DVD combo. My great uncle that I told you about, where I inherited his estate of 3 cardboard boxes. I got a DVD VCR combo, and it works. It works really well.
Now all you need is all the VHS Disney movies.
I've got so many VHS Disney movies. It's ridiculous.
Well, now you-
So I might get in trouble here, but you remember when you could take and copy 2 VHSs, and you could copy the movie by taping over the end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
What? Oh, you never did that?
See, I'm younger than both of you.
You never pirated?
No. No. I'm younger than both of you. I don't remember this. How do you do it? How?
Well, yeah, you are a few years younger than me. so.
Yeah.
VHS. Next time you have a VHS cassette,
Which is
Like-
never.
you don't have any VHS.
No.
What?
None.
We here at the museum do have some VHSs.
I'll have him show you. There is a tab on the back. There's basically a little hole on
Okay.
one of the things, and I'll show you where it is. On a blank cassette, that tab, there's a tab covering that hole, and in the recorder, there's a little hook. If it hooks in or whatever, you can't record.
Right.
So you can't accidentally record over your copy of The Explorers. Friggin' dope movie.
Have you seen this movie?
I have not.
Okay.
But blank cassettes had a tab there, so you could record.
And then when you
Okay.
didn't want to record over again, you broke those tabs out.
Right? Like my Roadhouse Next of Kin double feature that I recorded on VHS. I put a tab on that because I never wanted that recorded over. It was Roadhouse Next of Kin, and I never watched the third movie because Patrick Swayze's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like he just is. I have the question here
Not to
asking,
mention Sam Elliott was in one.
how old is Jim?
I am 38 years old.
38. Sorry, you didn't have to divulge that.
No, that's okay. I'm not a woman. I'm okay.
I'm 39. So
I'll be 35 in what? Like on the 16th.
in that short amount, in that 4 years, you missed the
Maybe I was
VHSs.
sheltered. I don't know.
Parents are just like, we're not getting VHSs.
No, we had a crap ton of them.
Okay, but you never examined.
No. Why the
Oh my
hell would I examine? I'm like, let's watch Little Mermaid.
Yeah, you go ahead and put the tape over that hole.
Okay, I'm gonna have to admit this. I went and watched Little Mermaid in the movie theater when I was a little kid.
I did too.
My dad
Good,
took me
good.
to all of them.
Good.
Whenever
Yeah.
they came out, he took my sister and I to them until we got older, and they're like, we don't want to go with dad anymore.
See, I never had a problem with Little Mermaid until I got much older and I watched it again, and I'm like, she's how old? Right? And she's doing what?
What?
Like my dad gene kicked in. I'm like, you better get your ass back to the castle. You better listen. You don't go see that Sea Witch. What the fuck is wrong with you? It's like, no. Seriously, it's like you're 16 and you're gonna leave your entire world and everything you know for a guy you just met. Get your ass in your room right fucking now, Ariel. Like, how stupid you're combing your hair with a fork, you stupid bitch. Get in your room. Like, I totally lost it when I watched it older. I'm like, are you what? I was like, I can't believe that. And I was all about Little Mermaid. I was just like, yeah, Under the Sea is fun and catchy. Yeah, but if you really watch that movie, it's like, the fuck are you doing? Get your seashell, get a shirt on. You're wearing nothing but seashells. You're 16.
How old is Eric?
Yeah, how old is Eric? And then if you watch,
he's going to prison,
right? And then the other day, my daughter was watching Sleeping Beauty. Same thing. She pricks her finger on her 16th birthday.
What is it with Disney and 16?
What does that say about Walt? I think quite a bit.
Well, okay, wait a minute. Watch the documentaries on him. He was actually a good dude.
Yeah, but everybody writing the stories apparently wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
Because for some reason, Disney princesses, like 16's the magical age. Like,
maybe it's because all the little girls that watch it dream of being 16.
Right? And they all dream of being princesses and stuff.
Yeah,
when my princesses turn 16, I'm locking their asses back in the castle. If they come in, and it's like, but Daddy, he's only 20. Good, he's old enough for me to whoop his ass then. I don't have to worry about going to jail. Like, awesome. Like, that's fantastic. Bring him over.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
So entertaining when his daughters are older.
So yeah, VHS cassette, you put a little tape over a blank tape, or you get a blank tape.
And you could buy VHS players. So there was 2 of them.
Yeah.
So that you could record.
You dub from one to the other, which that FBI warning in the beginning, it's kind of what that's for.
Right.
Like, it says, don't do what you're about to do. And then you're just like, well, I won't record the FBI warning. Yeah.
Right.
We'll wait till the FBI warning's done, then we'll start recording.
And okay, we even used to go rent a DVD player from Video Kingdom.
Oh my God. Renting the player. I remember doing that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
We never did that.
Ginger, you either led a really sheltered life or you were busy falling off cliffs.
Well, we already know that one story.
Yeah. The VCRs I remember back in the day, because we were poor folks. And
see, this is
didn't
what's
have a
happening here. We didn't either.
Yeah.
We even rented the TV because my parents got rid of the TV.
What?
Yeah.
You're kidding.
I grew up without a TV for quite a few years.
Oh my God. No, I never did, unless the TV was broke or the cable was out. That's the only time I ever.
My dad cut the cord.
Oh,
and then
wow.
threw the TV away.
So your dad was kind of like a pioneer in the whole cutting the cord thing before internet.
Right.
Before people started. One day this will make sense. He just cuts the cord. He was a visionary.
I see where this is going.
Oh my.
Yeah, we used to rent the VCR and it would come in like a little case.
Yep.
Like a suitcase that had a handle.
Was it tan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like encased in the suitcase and then.
We just had one.
Well, we were poor.
Yeah. When you're poor, you go down and you spring the extra $5 for the VCR and then hope it's not late because late charges.
Yeah.
There's so many.
I remember the late charges.
Yeah.
I remember the late charges.
And you watched Lucky Luke at least 32 times.
No.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Lucky Luke?
Yeah, Lucky Luke. It was a cartoon.
Oh, again.
No. The white horse.
Mm.
It was awesome.
No. We watched other things.
Yeah. Growing up, I had a stepdad who liked to rent great children's movies like Friday the 13th.
My mother would not let us watch that. Another one that she would not let us watch was Jaws.
Jaws?
She goes, you were never watching Jaws. To this day, I've never seen Jaws.
You've never seen
I
Jaws?
have never seen Jaws.
Oh. You've never seen Jaws?
No.
Oh my God. Wow, I'm learning so much. Now, Jaws is outstanding. The first Jaws is good. I mean, it's dated, obviously, the special effects. I mean, you know.
You got to get past that.
You got to get past that, but it's actually a really good movie. It's really good.
Which there is a historical part in that. The old guy in there, I can't remember what, he's on the ship, on the boat. I've seen it. There's a historical reference in there. You got to watch that.
Yeah.
Can't remember what it is.
It's
I'm
about,
you're leaving me hanging here. What is it?
They're spoilers for people who haven't seen a 40-year-old movie. It's
NPR side.
it's the sheriff. There's like an oceanographer, and then the old grizzled like fisher boat captain. Yeah, and they're going.
Captain Ahab.
No, that's Moby Dick.
Completely different.
Yeah, completely different, but kind of in the same vein.
Okay.
They're off hunting Jaws. They're
Now I know what it is. Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
and he tells a story about I think it was World War II.
He was a survivor off of
Yeah.
Indianapolis.
Yes, and it went down, or it started to sink, and they were stuck in the water for days, and sharks just picked them off one by one, like a school of sharks.
This is a true story.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say that actually happened.
Yes, and he tells that story about how a shark's eyes are cold and black and dead. And it's really, I mean, it just kind of gives you chills the way he talks about it. The actor did a very good job of portraying somebody who's seen some shit.
So
Let's just say.
there's another movie out there, and I don't even know the name, but I'm searching for it because I want to see it. But it's kind of a history thing, and it has to do with sharks. And he was an Olympian. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, yeah.
He was a POW, I think.
Unbroken.
Unbroken. That's the movie I want to see.
No, what?
Yeah.
I haven't heard of this movie, I guess.
So it's supposed to be really good.
It's
so,
a true story.
Yeah, it is. It's a true story. But he was on a ship. I don't know which one. You probably.
I think he was a pilot.
Pilot?
Shot down.
But I thought there was multiple people. Anyway, regardless, he ended up being a POW. And sharks came and picked a bunch of people off, or one person, however that happened. And then he was an Olympian runner.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, he went through all this shit, and then he was in the Olympics.
And the movie is all about how the Japanese couldn't break him in the POW camp.
Yes.
Oh, I
Yes.
think I have heard of this movie. Okay, yeah.
Thank you for filling in the blanks there.
My wife says she's never seen Jaws either. We're fixing
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you.
We're fixing that.
Thank you.
We are fixing that. And then we'll rent the Meg just to give a good.
You might go down to Mr. Movies
Yeah.
and just see if you could rent a VHS.
Oh my God, that would
You know
be
what
so
we
much
should-
fun.
No, okay, seriously, this is what we should do. We should contact the Playhouse.
Yeah.
Okay, and see if they can get Jaws, and we just have Jaws on that one.
Oh, it would be awesome to see it on the big screen.
That would be cool.
I've never seen it on the big screen because obviously
I've never
by the
seen
time
it.
I saw it, it was on TV.
Right.
And I think the first time I saw it, I was on like TBS, so there was
Which means
commercials every
I
10
was say you
minutes.
might not have seen the whole movie.
Yeah, I probably haven't. Probably seen just bits and pieces. Yeah. No, that's. I mean, back in the day, I know for a fact there are video stores in Denver. Well, not now, but there were certain ones I remember as a kid. We're going out to rent a movie, and I'm like, "Mom, you went to the video store?" And she's like, "No, we can't go to that one. They probably don't have the." She was being nice, like, "They don't have the movie we want." Fuck that. We had like $1,000 worth of late charges or whatever. You know what I mean? We couldn't rent from there. We had to rent from another place. There are so many of those places I remember. Like, Mom, like in hindsight, it's like, Mommy, there's a video store. Oh, I missed the turn. Like we're going 20 blocks away to some Best Buy or like Blockbuster. Thank you to rent some movie because we don't have a late charge at this one.
We had to pay our late charges because we only had one in McCook. So you kinda,
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
Video Kingdom, yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember when Video Kingdom was a thing.
No,
It
we
looked like a castle. It was so cool.
see it.
We have one. It's now Fantasy Gifts.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't know Video Kingdom?
No, we didn't have one. We had Blockbuster and then some other weird one, but it was not Video Kingdom.
Yeah, we had I remember back when it was huge. Like there was Blockbuster, Hollywood Video.
Oh,
They
I
were
remember
independent.
Hollywood Video.
Yeah.
Yes, they opened up like towards the latter end of the whole "let's go rent a movie" thing.
Hmm. And then there were independent video stores that would pop up here and there. That those are the ones we definitely went to because we knew they weren't connected on a network of corporate, so we knew we could get away with renting from there. I'm just saying. And I remember as a kid, I would visit my grandmother at Imperial, and Steve's Video was downtown.
Steve's Video.
Yes, it was
Okay.
the name of Steve. He had a video store. The sign is still there. Steve has unfortunately passed away, and it is now I think a day spa, but they kept the old Steve's Video sign
Cool.
over there recently for my great uncle's stuff. So that's really cool. I remember
That
my
was the
grandma.
3 boxes of stuff, right?
Yeah, the 3 boxes of stuff. My grandmother would take me there sometimes to rent a movie, but then she heard about. She goes, "Well, let's go check out the other video store," and a kid from Denver. I'm like, there ain't no 2 video stores in Imperial. You full of shit.
To your grandmother.
Well, I didn't say that, but I thought it.
Because she would have gotten slapped.
Oh,
Yeah.
hard. And it was this guy who I actually ended up, when I moved to Imperial in high school, became friends with his sons. But at the time I was just, 5 or 6. He ended up buying a bunch of VHS cassettes and tried to open his own video store, like in his home.
Cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a little strange because we go and I'm like, this is a house. And he's like, yeah, but he rents videos. And that business kind of eventually went under because whatever reason, I don't know.
No one brought the videos back.
Yeah, either nobody brought the videos back or he just decided I'm not going to run a video store out of my house because and Steve was in business for a while by then. And anyway, I don't know why he stopped doing it, but he did stop doing it.
Only in small towns can you get away with that.
Right.
People are like, no, it's normal.
But what was really cool is later on in high school, when I befriended his sons, I'd be talking about a movie. And I'm like, oh man, what movie is that? And they'd know, or they'd have it in the basement because he kept a bunch of those old, you know what I mean? Because he bought them to rent out. So they had like a basement full of movies.
Oh my God.
It was movie night at their house was dope.
I love movie nights.
Yeah.
To be honest though, that's like one of my favorite things to do is like go to a movie and like, especially if it's like cold or something outside, grab a blanket, sit in front of the fireplace and watch movies all day.
Yeah.
I love doing
Except for on North Pike Giving Day.
Except for on North Pike Giving Day, and it better not snow that day.
Which is Wednesday,
May 8th.
May 8th, this coming
All
Wednesday. All day.
and night.
Yeah.
Midnight to 11:59.
Check out the prize list.
Yep. At northpikegivingday.org is the website, so you can check out all 68 nonprofits. So, one away. Never mind. Anyway, sorry, it's late. I'm tired. Anyway, we kind of got on the subject of movies and totally forgot about Giving Day for a minute. But yeah, but if you could give on North Pike Giving Day, or like we said, give your time, volunteer, even if you want to see the list, just so you know how many nonprofits there are. And like I said, there is some on there that you'll kind of scratch your head at, like Nebraska Land Days is kind of a head scratcher just because it seems like such a huge event and they must have all this money that they're putting back into the celebration. But just to see the number, and like you said, that's not all of them.
No, that's not all of them.
No.
I mean, it's just the ones that got in, fit the criteria, and were able to register within that certain period of time.
Right.
So I mean, there's a lot, and even if there's some on there that you're like, I've never heard of this, what do they do? Go in, look at their profile, check it out, become familiar with them, because you never know when you know somebody who might need that service or would benefit from something that they do, or if you yourself might need it or benefit from it.
Or you may find out, wait a second,
I
I already used that.
Or I can help them.
Yep, or I can help. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was gonna say, or like we had talked about, if you can't give money but you can give time, you know, you can donate your time to volunteer. You may see something on there and go, oh, I can help out with that. I have a passion for that. My aunt went through that. Or I have a dog, you know, I can help other dogs. And
I can walk a dog.
yeah, I can walk a dog. I can Meals on Wheels. I can take food to some old folks. And, you know, I do it with my grandpa once a week or whatever. I can do it with this guy too.
Yeah, you know, we have quite a few Meals on Wheels in this town.
Yes, there are. And that is, I used to know somebody who volunteered for that. And she said that at first it was a little awkward because you're going into somebody's home, you know, but after a while, she really enjoyed going.
Well, you might be the only person they see.
A lot of cases you are.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases you are.
And some of those people will be interesting.
Oh gosh, yes.
You'll learn all kinds of cool stuff.
Right. Or they could just be really funny, or they could just need somebody to talk to, or they just, you know, need help reprogramming their VCR.
Right.
You know,
we can show you how to put the tape over.
Yeah, like
I can help with that.
Like, let me show you. All right, Gertie, come here. I'm going to show you how to dub a tape.
We can no longer run for any public office. By the way,
well, no, I just knew, I was aware of how it worked.
Oh yes, that's what I was. I was aware of how you could do it.
I had heard about it. See,
that's right.
On my way to Bible study as a kid, I used to walk by some really shady areas.
And they would like, hey, look at what you can do.
Right? It's like, you want some weed? It's like, no, God, the devil's lettuce? No, I don't want any of that. They're like, you want to learn how to dub a tape? And I'm like, no.
No, I only watch ones that I rent and never return.
Right? Rent or purchase.
Or purchase, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. From a legitimate source.
From a legitimate source, not you video pirate. That was another thing that used to happen back in the day. I don't know how you missed this entire technological revolution of like pirating things. People used to sneak in.
They still do it.
I know you still do it, but you remember back when the camcorder that used to be like an actual TV camera
So
Yeah.
we used
became
to have one of
palm
those.
held. You used to have one of the big ones. But
Oh,
then,
we had the little ones too.
yeah, but then
What's
when
it
you
called?
had the palm held ones, more people were sneaking those in the
They
theater.
were video, yeah.
Yeah, they.
Have you seen? So
I only know this from third party, Duke, because I actually never did own a
Yeah, no, I
camcorder.
never ever recorded. No, I never wanted to pirate a movie in the theater.
No.
No.
So one time, one of my friends and I were watching something on TV, and all of a sudden, it must have been a pirated movie, and we didn't realize it. All of a sudden, we hear.
They were even sneaking food in. They were pirating the movie and sneaking food in because you couldn't buy a can of pop. At a
No.
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 We just went, what the hell? Like, nah.
See, I always used to get nervous as a kid. Again, not to paint my parents in a bad light, but they'd be like, "Here, stuff this in your pocket when you go into the movie theater," because they're like, "You ain't paying no $2.50 for a soda." And I used to get so nervous because she would stuff like a can of soda in my pocket, so it looks like I got this huge like thing growing out of my leg, and it's obvious what it is. And all the theater staff that ever saw me as a child, thank you for not busting me, because they must have been like, "Oh, this, I'm not
Little
gonna
kid,
bust
we're
this
not going to
kid."
bust a little kid.
And I'd go into the movie and I'd always sit there and wait for like a part where it was really loud, and I could never time the right. And there was one time the movie theater was packed, and I just saw all these heads turn at me, and I was so nervous I didn't even drink the soda. I put it down under my seat and I left it there.
And someone kicked it over and someone had to clean it up.
Exactly. Like at one point I just heard clink, 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 and the can like rolled down. It rolled like 3, and I just heard it like plink going off of people's feet. And I'm like, oh my God. Couldn't even remember what movie it was, but I was just like red faced the whole time. Just
So
like,
then when they all got up, we heard.
yeah. Right. And it was so embarrassing. I'm so bad.
He never took anything to the movie theater again.
Never.
Ever. No. He learned his lesson.
Yep.
That one time.
Yeah, I learned not to bring a can of soda in. If you're gonna sneak a bottle in too, pre-crack it. I've heard the shady area. They're like, weed, videotape. You want to learn how to open a soda in the theater?
But it was the only way he could get to his Bible study was walking through that neighborhood.
It was 100. It was one block, but it was 100 by 100. It's like I had to walk through. No matter which way I went, I was walking through that shady area.
And he couldn't help it. I mean, he grew up in Denver.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
as soon as I stepped foot on that block, it was instantly night. It was the strangest thing. And then as soon as I got past that block, it was like, it's a beautiful morning, and the sun's shining, birds are
Sesame
singing.
Street song.
Yeah, Big Bird was walking by, But that block was just the shadiest block I've ever been on in my life. I learned so much on that block that I've never used. Obviously.
Obviously. Never.
He's
Obviously.
very well
Yeah.
aware of the world.
He made sure
and
he
what
knew
is-
that way
he would
wouldn't.
stay away from
Right.
it, right?
Those trench coats that those dudes had held a lot of shit
Like
that they could show me. They just open it up and just whipping out. It was like a magic show of bad intentions and pirated
bad
videos.
influences.
Yeah, bad influences and sin.
And then when you got to your Bible study, you're like, guys, you're never gonna believe it.
Right.
Me.
And then we read a little bit, and they're like, "You're good." And I'm like, "But I got to go home." And then I had to pass through that shady area again.
Right.
It was not good. Not a good block. Anyway, so North by Giving Day is on May 8th. That's this coming
Have we
Wednesday.
lost our entire audience?
No, I mean, I've been kind of watching as much as I can, and we've had a
Two
steady
people.
stream of 1 or 2 people watching our live, but it's our first live.
What is
Right.
your wife though? Which thank you.
Yeah, one is, yes, hi. I don't know if she's still watching though. So if you are watching, just drop us a comment, because I have to watch on my phone because our screen went blank. I don't know what happened to your
I don't
computer.
either. Like I tried this at home and it was fine and it did not do this.
Yeah. So if you're one of the two people
You know what it is, Jim?
watching, give us a hi.
Not the ghosts.
It's the ghosts.
What ghosts? You have mammoth poop and ghosts? Why am I not? You guys don't tell me nothing when I sit down. You're like, we're going to do a podcast. You keep all the cool shit.
I got a cow hairball too.
A cow
What?
hairball?
Yeah.
Like a cat hairball, but a cow.
Right.
Right? Okay.
What?
Yeah, I do. I can bring it too
A
sometimes.
hairball from a cow.
What the fuck?
Why is that? That's more shocking than dubbing tapes to you for some reason.
Why the hell would a cow be like, there's a hairball?
Because they had hair in their system.
I thought only cats did that.
Nope.
That's really weird.
Well, I'll bring it next time.
Okay.
All right.
Please.
Maybe the next time we go live, we just do a tour.
I think so.
I think so. If you're cool with that sometime.
Sounds good to
Maybe
me.
we should talk to the ghost.
Anybody know a paranormal investigator? I think there's one here in town.
We've had some paranormal investigators out twice.
And what have they found?
I'm not gonna tell you.
Because it's what I've been saying.
Which is that
It's
the
what
place
he
is
doesn't
haunted.
believe.
That the place is haunted
Yeah.
by?
I don't know.
Like, they didn't give a specific.
There are no specifics.
There's no specifics, but you believe it is.
I give him a lot of shit for it. Like there was stuff falling off over there. I'm like, oh, this is the ghost, and he's like, no, it was me. I'm like, oh, okay. There has to be if there's a museum, there has to be a ghost.
At least one.
Yeah, I mean, like it's just like you. It's like, oh look, hey Fred, Fred's doing.
Fred.
I don't know.
Maybe it's one of those old guys who, like, I don't know. who
By
those
the
old
way,
guys
those
are.
two old guys over on
Yeah, on the wall over there that you people can't see, but I can.
yeah,
Yeah.
they donated this room.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
They were giant ranchers. What?
I'm talking to a painting, but no, that's cool.
Yeah. See, and you can do that kind of stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a
Donate
part
a
of it.
room.
Yeah, because if you look over on the other wall, you'll see all the other donors that helped build it too.
Well, and that's part of, again, back to Giving Day. I mean, if you give donations, and you don't just have to give on Giving Day, you can come out here and give a private donation, or maybe you don't have the money right now, but you're waiting on them, taxes to come back, and you plan to do something good with that money.
Yep.
Obviously, Lincoln County Historical Museum can benefit from that, as well as the other nonprofits on Giving Day.
That's right.
Mhm.
It's only because of people in the community that this museum exists.
Right. Yeah, because like you said earlier, no state funding, no federal funding,
No
No
county
county
or city.
funding.
county, city. I mean, this is all private donations.
Right. Yep. This entire building. And so when we start doing our particular project for North by Giving Day is we have a building that we need to renovate into a modern archives.
Okay.
And so we are planning on using the funds that we raise at North by Giving Day to really get that project going. We want to have it done within the next year.
So I have a question, and we kind of talked about this off the air about, the 3 boxes and the postcards
Right,
that I have. Say somebody is watching or listening and they go, well, I have this that's significant to Lincoln County in some way. They have a piece of history or an
Right.
artifact. How would they donate that if they wanted to?
Well, they just need to call is the best thing to do. And that way I'm around. I can come and look at it with them. And we'll examine it and decide whether it's something that the museum needs. Maybe it's possible that we already have something like that. If it's really unique, then we won't. And if it's in good enough shape, it's just all kinds of things you got to look at. And if it's something that we really need, you can donate it to the museum. And it'll become part of our permanent collection. Our paperwork signs over ownership to us, but we always have you put your name or the next kin's name on there. That way, if down the road we decide that we don't need that anymore, or we can't use it anymore, or whatever, we'll try and give it back to the family. But the only way we're going to give it back to the family is if you put somebody's name on it, because we are not starting that fight.
Right. Right. That's important to know where it should go if you were to die or something. That's why next of kin, like
Right.
when you pass away or something, because wills and ownership of things can get dicey when you're not around to say, yeah, this person gets it. So
We've actually had families in the artifacts or something that we really needed, but the families come in and donate them to us because everybody wanted it.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, our are really nice Indian moccasins, other kinds of artifacts, are because the family all really enjoyed it and really liked it. It wasn't that they were fighting over it as much, but they knew that not all of them could have it. And they wanted to keep it together.
Oh, okay.
And so they gave it to us. And I mean, these Indian artifacts are from the 1890s. They're the beautiful examples of Sioux Indian artifacts. And so those, but you know, it doesn't have to be that fancy either.
Right.
You know, it can be a piece of paper. For example, a little bitty piece of paper. Someone was renovating a house here in North Platte, and in the attic was this piece of paper, and it was dated December 8th, 1941, signed by the local sheriff to the FBI, listing all the Japanese families in the valley.
Oh, wow.
That's
Okay.
significant.
Yeah.
No, that is. It's very significant.
And what's even more significant is that he didn't list all the Japanese families. He listed anybody that had an odd name.
Really?
Yeah. So Alphonse Kosmicki, who is Polish, is on there. Chin, I can't remember his first name. He's Chinese. I mean, you can't mistake. But he had an odd name. You know, so that's history right there. Man.
No, it is. It is.
You know, and that, so we know what our local authorities were thinking the day after Pearl Harbor, and what they were submitting to the FBI, because the FBI was asking for that. You know, and so.
Well, and that also leads to, and I mean, not all history is pretty
No.
either,
Right.
unfortunately. And some people could see that as a dark piece of history, because that's when the paranoia, especially after Pearl Harbor, the paranoia of Japanese Americans really, I mean, the concentration camps, basically, you know, those kinds of things started to happen because people thought there were sleeper agents here, and you know, all, I mean, it's a really dark part of American history, and that in its own way is tied to that.
Ben Kuroki is on that list. Now, if you've ever watched Most Honorable Son, he became a decorated veteran of both the European and Pacific theater. First Japanese American to fly in the war, and he's on this list from the day after Pearl Harbor. The most loyal citizen you ever find. He's on that list. So I mean, there's all kinds of really interesting things going on, and it's all because those people that were renovating that house decided that paper might be interesting to us,
Right.
and brought it into us.
So I mean, some people could have a piece of history in their home and they don't even know it.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it would be a good idea to grab some of that and maybe bring it down here, have Jim take a look at it, and you can see, is this historically significant? What is it tied to? Could tie to, well, again, you know, a major part of American history. It just could be a very small piece of that huge puzzle.
Yep. That's right. It's things like that are found all the time when people are renovating houses, and sometimes they're just in the rafters, sometimes they're in the walls, and sometimes it is grandma's treasured heirloom. Sometimes that is really good. You know,
right? Grandma's brooch could be.
It's got a whole table full of that kind of stuff.
Every lady will love that table if they come like
I
that.
can't tell you how many hours I've sat there looking at that.
There's just drool running out of your mouth.
But I have the one specked out. I'm like, I want that one, and that one, and that one, and that one.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of history.
And it's all here at the Lincoln County Historical Museum, which you can help with funds, help with volunteering, all of that on North Pike Giving Day again on the 8th. May 8th, all day. Literally all day.
All night.
And night, yes. And there are 68 total nonprofits on that list. NorthPikeGivingDay.org is the website you need to get on to give. And like you said, you could
pre-schedule your gifts.
Pre-schedule your gifts.
You can give on computers, your phones, tablets.
So that means even if you're outside of the United States,
yes,
you can have it done.
Yes.
Even if you're in remote Antarctica.
Yes.
And you have a Wi-Fi connection.
I was just getting ready. Yes, as long as you have Wi-Fi. Yes.
I mean, even if you can pre-schedule it, you don't even have to have
If you were
Wi-Fi.
leaving on the 7th to go to Antarctica and you are going to have no Wi-Fi, yes, you can pre-schedule your gift.
So there's no excuse.
There's no excuse.
None. And it helps out with the community. It helps out with that canteen spirit, like we talked about, the sense of giving, and just investing back into your own community in ways that help out. I mean, that's generally, I mean, like I said, people need to start doing more of that. I think people need to start having that kind of attitude of investing back in their community.
Does anybody else feel like they're on a PBS fundraiser?
Yes.
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 I had to throw that in.
That has popped in my mind a couple times.
No, I know, but yeah, I mean, well, that was the whole point of the podcast, and then we got to pirating videos. Not a good way to give back to your community. Bad. Well, now with DVDs, I actually had a dual DVD player, and I'm just saying.
Wait, they had.
You went down
Where the
that.
hell was I?
You went down this wrong, the bad alley.
It was that.
I did go down the back alley. Some rented DVDs you could pirate, I've heard. Some not. Maybe it's changed now. That was years ago. You've never. How did you miss dual cassettes, VHS, dual DVD players? How did you miss all of that?
I did the whole music part. I just missed that one.
Oh my god.
Hey,
okay.
My roommate was in the lawsuit with Metallica over Napster.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah, he lost all his rights. Yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah, I know.
Dang.
Napster lost all their rights.
Exactly.
I didn't use Napster because I was like, I don't know, something about this one sounds weird. But LimeWire, I was all about LimeWire.
See, at least you know about Napster.
Yeah, I know about that.
So using LimeWire, you basically gave your computer AIDS.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I can't count how many snippets of a song back in the early days of burning CDs and stuff. This guy was like, "Oh, I burned a CD, dude. It's so awesome. Check it out." And no less than 3 times on that CD, he thought he had downloaded and burned "I Stand Alone" by Godsmack, but it was only the chorus. It was like 2 minutes of the chorus in a loop, and then it would play another song, and you're like, okay, that was weird. And then out of nowhere, "I stand alone," and I'm like, oh shit, not again. Like 3 or 4 times on the CD, I'm like, dude, you need to. And he's like, I got him down off LimeWire. I'm like,
see, my LimeWires were way better than that. I would be like, okay, I'm gonna be selective. I want the whole song, not just the whole stupid chorus part.
yeah. Well, he didn't think that far ahead, so
I did.
yeah.
I was methodical.
You were methodical when you gave your computer AIDS. LimeWire was the worst for that. Like, you're always rolling the dice. You're just like, I'm either gonna get this song by Fall Out Boy or my computer's getting herpes. Like, here we go. Unprotected downloading, man. We're rolling those dice.
I did that.
Oh, the early days of the internet.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Some days I miss the early days of the internet.
It's kind of weird to think that was the early days of the internet, or like what was actually the early days of the internet.
Dial up. Terrible.
Oh, in high school, I got 30 minutes of internet access, and then after that, you had to start paying for it.
Oh yeah.
And it was beep.
Yeah, the first 20 minutes of it was logging on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pixelated pictures that would just take forever to
AOL.
load.
Wow.
AOL.
My
yeah.
first computer had 1 gig of memory, a 1 gig hard drive.
I don't even know what mine had.
Now, I mean, a gig, like my phone has more than that. You know what I mean?
They went to the moon on more than that.
I know. Yeah. It's ridiculous how much it's changed in such a short time. That and just to think of what we were talking about, pirating VHS cassettes, downloading and
Archaic to somewhat.
The first video game I ever played, Pong, on a console.
Mm-hmm.
Turned a knob.
We had an Atari.
Once again, poor.
Yeah, poor. Had Pong. Well, we had an Atari, but we bought it at a garage sale, so sometimes the red button didn't work. So you're playing Pitfall. Sometimes you jump the alligator. Sometimes the alligator gets you, man. It just depends.
Just the way it is.
And we couldn't afford new controllers, so sometimes you had to jam.
We got an Atari fairly quick after the console.
Uh-huh.
Once we got a TV back. I think we lost the TV because of a Pong game, honestly.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
Anyhow, I remember playing tanks. That was the best.
Oh my
So
god.
Atari had this Fire Pilot game.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Like Space
Loved
Invaders.
that
was awesome.
thing. I loved that. I died often, but I loved it.
Tucker, thank you for watching, says AOL Online and MSN Messenger or messages.
Oh,
The
snaps.
instant messages. Oh my
Yes.
god.
You have mail.
Oh.
Okay, I still have a Hotmail account. Not gonna lie.
I do too, actually. But you can't ever log into it.
Oh, I still use mine.
I don't.
I tried to find my old MySpace account a while back just to see if those pictures or whatever
Oh
still
my God,
existed.
I should do that.
I couldn't find it. I don't know I think MySpace is still around because here a few years ago, Justin Timberlake bought stock in it or something. And I think what they tried to do was they tried to revamp it from a social media site to like a place for unsigned music artists and stuff to get their stuff out.
Oh, okay.
But I believe there's still in the dark corners of the internet still some MySpace stuff that exists.
Weird.
But I don't know how to find it.
I'm gonna have to go look for MySpace.
I never had a MySpace. Sorry.
Oh, I did. It was bad.
I did too.
I think everybody did. That was before Facebook opened up to everybody, and then everybody jumped on Facebook, and MySpace was
They were done.
They were completely
They
done.
were done.
It was
Yeah.
such a, like, if you think about, like, I'm gonna rate my friends. Like, who can I piss off? How do I really want to rate this?
That was when I had a MySpace. That's the first time I had an internship at the radio station. When I first got into radio, and one of my bosses called me one time, and he's like, "Hey man, like, what's up?" And I thought he was talking to me about the next show coming up. I need to work the merch stand, whatever. He's like, "It's with your top friends, dude." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I'm not in there."
Oh,
And I was like, well, I never changed that. I just threw it up there, and I'm not dicking with that. That's ridiculous. He's like, "Yeah, but I kind of stood up for you, got you. I just thought I'd be in your top friends, dude." And I'm like,
wow.
Really?
yeah, he like literally I had to put him in my top friends because he was pissed off about it, and I was worried about like my burgeoning radio career going to shit because dude wasn't in my top friends. I'm like, who do I bump? I'm like, I'll fucking bump my girlfriend, I guess. Whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't.
You're number one, man.
Like, it literally does not matter. But some people took that like that. We should have known then what social media could become. I don't think anybody saw it turning into what it is now.
What I say, if you can start a revolution in Egypt with Facebook,
Yeah,
it's pretty powerful.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
it
and
is.
I mean, just the hurt in his voice, like, "What's up, man?" It's like, Jesus Christ. And people just, I mean, and now you see it all the time. Not top friends, but I mean, it just grew. And like you said, I mean, Facebook's so powerful that people, I mean, Congress is looking into it and has been like, does this shit influence elections? And
House of Cards. That's all I have to say. Have you seen House of Cards?
No.
still haven't.
Oh my
It's on my queue.
God!
I read lots of books.
You should watch House of Cards. It will freak you out.
Hmm.
Anybody else watch House of Cards?
I have not watched House of Cards yet.
Like, seriously, season 5.
New episodes of Santa Clarita Diet came out. I
Oh,
had to
that's
watch
sad
that.
that they canceled that.
I know, that pisses me off.
That show's funny.
It's so good.
It's
So mad.
hilarious.
I watch.
Netflix?
I watched Nova.
Do they still do the drop of water at the beginning? I remember watching it on PBS
Yes,
when I was a kid.
it's
Yes.
kind of, I think it's kind of different. They got
Yeah.
like a water thing.
Back when TV was like 3 channels and PBS. I remember
Yeah.
those days.
Yeah.
Again, the poor
And
kids.
no, I don't have Netflix.
I didn't have cable. My dad was like, "No, we're not having cable," so I didn't have cable.
Did you watch PBS? Ever? Or was that like, or were you too cool for that? It's like, only nerds watch PBS.
Oh God, I just don't even want to go into this.
90210.
Oh, I
Right?
totally watched that. I love that
I
show.
watched that shit too. I'm not
No,
gonna
we
lie.
watched PBS damn it, when we came down here to the cabin.
I used to watch nature at night. I had my own little TV, black and white TV.
Oh yeah.
And I'd watch
Stop being
nature.
judgy.
I'm not judgy. I used to watch PBS too when I was a kid. Like, I mean, it grew from, Sesame Street to Nova, and there was some good stuff on there.
Actually, I always loved all the really big documentaries they had.
Hmm.
Loved them.
Still like them.
I still watch them
Yeah, some of them were
because
really
they
good.
have them on Netflix all the time. So I watch them all the time.
Say, okay, I have no Netflix. Sorry, guys.
Oh, that's okay. Civil War's on there, the PBS documentary.
Yeah, I
series.
own it.
Really?
I own the whole disc set.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Oh.
I'm just saying it's in my queue.
And my claim to fame is that I helped Ken Burns research the documentary The National Parks because I made photocopies for him.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Nice.
very good.
Nice. Your funding can go to photocopies. There you
Just
go.
saying, just saying.
And so much more.
Yes.
So
You were
It
kinda
actually
like
wasn't photocopies here, it was in college.
you were kind of like his protege in a sense then.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
There
Yeah.
yeah, that's
There
it.
you go.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
So should we wrap this up?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So North Platte Giving Day on the 8th. That's this coming Wednesday. NorthPlatteGivingDay.org. Please log on. Please give in any way you can. And again, if you can't give money, you can always donate your time and volunteer to any of those great organizations and more. So,
Yep,
all right.
definitely.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know what the hell that is. What is that?
Megan calling me.
Is she watching?
I don't know.
Whatevs. Anyway.
Sorry, Meg, I declined you.
She's like, what's that bitch doing? She's probably going to call back.
She probably will.
She probably will. All right. Well, we better wrap this up before Megan gets mad. So, all right. Well, anyway, if you want to reach out to us, you can always find us on Facebook, obviously, on Instagram, NP Nutshell, and you can email us, npnutshell@gmail.com.
And communicate with us if you like the show. Let us know if you want to see that freaking cow hairball. I'm sorry, I cannot think of
I want to see the mammoth turd,
Mammoth
man.
poop.
The
And
cow
he will get to
hairball.
hold the mammoth poop.
Hold it in my hands. It's petrified, so it's basically a rock
Right.
with a peanut in it.
I have two
Probably.
of
Do
them,
they
by the
have
way.
peanuts?
Would you like to hold one too? I have two of them.
Petrified peanut?
Okay.
I'm really more curious about the cow hairball.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're gonna go look at hairballs and poop. You guys are we're just gonna shut the stream off. So
Somehow or another.
yeah, I know the screen's black. What if I touch the mouse
No.
pad? No?
No?
Oh, that didn't work.
Oh.
Oh my God, you gotta sign it. All right, well, we're gonna hang out here for a little bit while Ginger signs into her computer.
Hold on.
I don't know what happened. The
I
screen
don't
just went
either.
black.
It
I mean,
was
we're
very
still
weird.
there you are. I mean, I can see on the stream.
Okay, we'll just kind of like, bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.